All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Swain Batty League. We'll hop into game 2 here between these two squads. TSA winning game 1 in sort of an anticlimactic way. I guess, no big Baron fight to fight over, but uh, they find the numbers advantage. Thrifty down in the bot lane while the Baron is up, and Master Splinter makes his engage and wins game 1 for TSA. And
Yeah, just you got to feel real bad coming out of that game if you're Kick-Ass. They had so much control of that game, and then they did a good old-fashioned Baron throw, and then it all comes down to just being engaged on while their most fed carry was in another lane. So I'm really interested to see what happens going into this game two here, because I feel like both teams have a case for feeling like they don't need to change anything with this draft.
yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see TSA always opt for this Wombo combo team fighting composition that they rounded out game 1 here with. It's worked well. Well, obviously it worked well for them this last game, but it seems to be kind of their motif throughout the course of the season, and it seems to be doing them well against Kick-Ass in the strategies that they bring.
Yeah, it's kind of always been one of Master Splinter's, secrets to how to play League of Legends. Play something that's easy to play and you'll win a lot. Why do you think he doesn't play Lisa and Elise?
Yeah, that's true. And honestly, in the SBL, I think that is a great strategy to have.
Yeah, I think you can always opt into Wombo in the SBL until the other team proves they can handle it.
Yeah.
Just keep picking it, man. I will never be upset to see a team picking it. And really happy to see a Pantheon ban coming out of Kick-Ass. That was clearly not an easy pick to handle. It never has been. As that's going to be the only ban change. Or sorry, no, Blitzcrank also coming out, so Kick-Ass does change things up a bit with their bans. But still going to opt for that first pick on the Sejuani, which was a pretty contested pick last week, and we kind of figured it would be again this week as well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure every jungler nowadays has probably recognized Sejuani is a power pick. I mean, she is, from what I've seen and heard, is a good jungle pick right now. So I don't know if Master Splinter is one to have practiced it and prioritized it more than Bora Bora or Zachary like last week, but definitely a pick that's going to be thrown around in the first few picks of the night. Sejuani going to be answered by another Freljord buddy in Braum for Reventoad in the bot lane.
Yeah, really flipping gears for Reventoad. There aren't really more polar of opposites than Blitzcrank and Braum. So looking like they're maybe pairing for some dive from Kick-Ass as they're going to, again, take the misfortune for the Bernie Sanders bot. He was able to do his job last game. Not surprised to see them. I assume that's a pick they'll first rotation more often than not if it's available.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just pure comfort, and honestly, I don't know if he's ever lost a game on this misfortune. Seems like after the first couple of games at the very start of the season, after he showed his power on it, it was banned a lot of the games. But he's probably lost a couple, but it seems like he has a very high win rate on that for Bernie Sanders bot.
Yeah, going through real quick, I see one loss to the One Trick Brownies. And you know what? You can kind of write those losses off. They beat everybody doing everything until the tiebreaker, so.
Yeah.
As we see Caitlyn and Tom Kench coming up with Kick-Ass. And I really, really love these picks. I thought the Tom Kench ban last game was super smart out of TSA, but they're not going to get the chance to take it away again. As I think this has been one of the picks that most defines Kick-Ass in this latter half of the season. And then Caitlyn is, of course, just a very good pick when you've got the Mighty Wolf as your ready carry. And TSA will then round things out with the Valkaz, which is what we would have expected before Kick-Ass gets the second ban phase.
Yeah, and I can assume that Mighty Wolf didn't opt for the Ashe here because Braum was picked. So, but otherwise, I think there was probably a good chance we would have seen Ashe picked into this scenario. Lulu and Kennen going to be the first bans in Phase 2 here. Lulu, another one of Zorb's support champions, not enabling him to keep either Mighty Wolf or usually Scotch or not, who's always in the fray of the fight, keep them alive for extended periods of time. So that one is out of the equation. Oh, let's see what that ban was. Okay. Yep. So the last ban is Ari.
All right, so Ari and then Swain gonna round things out here. So nothing too crazy. Is Thrifty Senpai gonna have basically the whole playbook open for deciding? Oh no, sorry, he's not gonna have many picks open. There's a lot of things, man. As there's
Uh.
all right, so I think we're gonna have to remake this.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to do a remake, and I'll explain where I think we're gonna pick off here. We'll let TSA ban the Ari for their last ban, and then I think KIKAS should probably get their ban back because they only had like 10 seconds left apparently. Honestly, are you watching the ban on the champ select screen, Swift?
Yeah.
To me, it looked like everyone had plenty of time, but it might have bugged out. He didn't pick Alawi. Yeah, okay. So that's why we're prompting the remake here. Alawi not the pick they're looking for. So
Well,
I
since we just have like what 3 picks remaining here, it's probably easiest just to do this in text.
um uh
Save
yeah.
ourselves a few minutes of hassle.
Mm, maybe. Here I'll be right back. Sound is muted. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Small drafting snafu here. We'll speed right through all of these bands, all of the picks and bands that have been locked in. Uh, Everything up into that last band from TSA, which was meant to be an Ari. That'll be everything from the previous draft will be carried over up until that point, and then everything after that can be fresh and new from whatever was shown on screen. So yeah, both teams got everything figured out here. So Ari last ban, most likely another Swain ban coming in for KIKAS, but we don't know anything about their last picks there. How do you feel about the Ari ban? That I feel like that sort of is coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, I have to assume Blab just doesn't like that matchup into Vel'Koz. I'm thinking that they went to that last band saying like, all right, Blab, whatever you think is a bad matchup is what we're going to take away, and that's what they thought the Ari was. And yep, Kick-Ass is going to hold with that Swain band. So here we are, second rotation of picks coming out. And TSA going to opt back into the Jarvan. This could be a flex pick for them. As we saw Scotch having some pretty effective games in the Tom Catch versus Jarvan matchup not too long ago. So he's probably pretty fine going into that lane if that's what we end up getting. As Kick-Ass with the lane questionable Zyra.
Yeah, but a much better matchup for the Zyra here. Now that Blitzcrank's out of the picture, Caitlyn Zyra definitely have some room to work against Caitlyn or against Misfortune Braum. So, Kick-Ass bot lane looking for a much better start than game one. And Nivea will be a last pick overall for Kick-Ass. They said that was an actual random pick in the last draft, but it made sense to me. So I guess that's going to be it. And TSA, what will they get with the ultimate counter? They'll need a jungler. And
it's
Evelyn.
gonna be alright. Curious to see how this does. I don't think Splinter has played it this season. Skimming over my notes, no, Splinter has not. Surprisingly, because I know he has talked about playing it. But we have seen a few other junglers play it. It hasn't been a great pick this split for anybody. But, Master Splinter is not just anybody.
Yeah, and he actually hovered it in the last draft right before changing it to Pantheon before the lock-in. So Evelyn definitely on his mind tonight. Might not be the last time we see her. I guess depending on draft mode. Is this the right one? I feel like this should say tournament draft.
Yeah, I want to say you're right.
Be right back. Yep, so it is indeed, it does need to be tournament draft. So, all right, we're leaving the lobby. Did we brought this up last week, right? Riot Games, indie game development company, small startup.
Yeah, it's being able to change game settings in a lobby. That's a pretty crazy feature. I don't think a whole lot of games other than the AAA titles are having in 2017. So
Yeah, it for small companies, it takes a lot of resources to write that kind of technology. Oh boy, so we'll get into game two here eventually. We have the compositions though picked out. Very similar for TSA. However, they're missing, in my opinion, two vital picks to the success last game: Pantheon and Blitzcrank, subbed out for Evelyn and Braum respectively. So, kind of a more defensive wombo combo, if you might even say that. Less upfront damage and pick potential, but KIKAS once again running a composition that's kind of all over the place. But we have a big power pick with Tom Kench for Scotchnaut in the top lane.
Yeah, I am nowhere near as big of a fan of this TSA comp as I was of the last one, but they do still have the Vel'Koz, and as long as they've got that pick, I don't think you can write them out. But there's just a lot of pressure on Master Splinter to really pop off in this game. Has Renai been invited? He is not.
So something that we might have, well, I thought we might have seen is after a win on the Vel'Koz, thought we would have seen that permanently in the ban closet, but we don't. It goes all the way through to second rotation pick phase 1. So interesting. So I guess Thrifty Senpai picking the Anivia into it, thinking he'll fare maybe a little bit better. But really, last game it wasn't about the mid lane matchup in the mid lane. It was Thrifty, once he hit that level 6, went down to the bot lane and got his team back into it. So maybe wants to face off against Renai Circulation in the mid lane a little bit more with this Anivia pick.
Alternative. I'm absolutely livid.
You know, I'm normally pretty good about not closing out the draft page until after everything's locked in the clients. But we were halfway through that draft, and I was like, all right, we're almost done here, so I closed it.
Oh. Yeah. Once again, though, KIKAS, I mean, this composition is actually very, very similar to compositions they ran last week. You know, your two star players on damage threats, Caitlyn and Anivia. Zwerb's on something supporty, whether that's a Zyra or a Karma or a Lulu, but I guess the Zyra variant has a little bit more damage packed into it, but then a really beefy frontline coming through for jungle and top with Sejuani and Tom Kench respectively. So this seems like a bread and butter composition for KIKAS.
Yeah, my only concern is, you know, like we've said a million times already, there's a lot of pressure on Splinter to do something. And, you know, looking at these lanes, I don't know where the obvious place for the Eve to gank is.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing it either. I mean, I can imagine top lane if Scotch overextends a little bit too much. He really only has that flash to get him out to safety very easily. But
yeah, the thing that concerns me about that is last game, last game TSA had the easiest top lane gank combo that exists in League of Legends, Pantheon Jarvan. That is essentially a free kill at level 3, and then another free kill at level 4, and then like maybe another one at level 5 for good measure. And despite having that combo, Sword and Mace had a pretty bad game last game. He started, I think it was 0-6-2 before getting a few kills in the late game team fights. And so now they're going to be playing a top lane where there's, you know, some actual skill involved with pulling off their ganks and a much tankier opponent in the Tom Kench.
So
It's definitely matchup wise, like I could see them getting kills, but they're gonna have to play a lot better than they did last game.
right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I forget at what point of the game it was, but they tried to gank onto Scotch and Notch's Trundle, but with the ultimate, he was able to to fight all the way through it. But Tom Kench without a Trundle ultimate, but can even get tankier than Trundle just from building tank stats alone and his gray health mechanic. So yeah, it's gonna be tough, I think, for any lane, right? At least for Splinter to capitalize on any of these lanes. A lot of punish material coming from Anivia and Zyra respectively. And we also see Thrifty running the Ignite this time on Anivia. So I think my theory is panning out to be true, where he actually wants to stick in the mid lane a little bit more this game and bring the 1v1 fight to Renai and try to take him out of the game early on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case too, because if you just look at these comps, if this goes late, who's going to stop Renai? I mean, who's even going to get close to Renai?
Yeah, and it's not going to be Mighty Wolf anywhere near safety or safely doing that. Yeah, it's just a lot of Vel'Koz damage can come through in that late game.
They're going to really have to take him out early, because we know just what an absurd amount of damage that Vel'Koz brings late. And for as safe as Wolf and Thrifty should be in this comp, it's going to be really hard to out DPS the team with a Vel'Koz on it in a straight up 5v5, post 30-minute fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, looking at these supports a bit, how much pressure do you think the Reventoad Bernie Sanders bot lane is going to be under?
Well, I mean, ideally a lot. For Zwerves and Mighty Wolf, they really have to turn this around. At least for the early laning phase. Last game, Reventoad had a lot of pressure, just landing hook after hook, and it put Zyra in a really bad spot to try to put any kind of pressure into the lane. However, Caitlyn Zyra is even more, probably one of the most bully lanes for duo lane. But yeah, it's really up to Zwerves to stick up front and lay down all the damage onto Reventoad and his Braum. It doesn't matter even if he shields all the damage, you still just have to put it out there and get him low. So there's not an opportunity for them to look for any kind of engage with Winter's Bite or a Glacial Fissure paired along with a Master Splinter gank, which we might even see more in the bot lane. Splinter sometimes known for going down there in certain matchups, but I guess we will see. We are loaded here on the Rift. There we go. Here we go. So KIKAS loaded up on the blue side, TSA on the red side. Game 2 in the Season 9 finals. Early pings going out from KIKAS, maybe looking for a cheeky invade, and that's it appears what they're going to do. Mighty Wolf going to swing back and maybe lay some wards down. Or maybe just a little late to the party.
Yeah, that's looking like one of those, it's 30 seconds in and someone goes, "Yo, guys, do you want to just invade?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, sure, why not?"
Yeah, okay.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
As for the second game in a row, TSA picking their bush and waiting in it. Don't think we're going to see anybody meeting anybody, although Master Splinter and Reventoad are actually pathing upwards here, so maybe we will see something happen.
So I'm pretty sure Splinter saw them there.
Yeah, that would make sense with all of TSA pathing over.
Yeah.
But Wolf wants no part of this. He's got CS to get.
Oh no,
like-
but TSA, they are actually looking for this. Gotcha, he's going to stick in that red bush and might be a little too far out. The Winter's Bite's going to land, and he has to flash early on here. And TSA put back the invaders.
That was some strange decision making out of KIKAS. Wolf was nowhere near that, and they were still kind of posturing pretty aggressively. I guess just hoping that it wasn't a 4v5, but it was, so they lose what should be a very valuable flash. Like we were talking about, Scotch is probably the most obvious gankable lane, and now Splinter has his target for the early game.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he actually picks up the red early on, so he's going to be pathing opposite of where he might want to end up there, but might just roam back up there with the double buffs anyway. Same with Bora Bora, he starts up on his blue side as well. Oh wait, was that blue buff? Nope. Okay, never mind. Thought it might have been handed off to Thrifty there. That would have been cool little tech early on to get your mid lane an advantage.
Yeah, as Renai's laying down some nice damage in these early trades. He's got the level advantage, but Thrifty's not playing like he really cares.
Yeah. Splinter's down here in bot, double buffs on Evelyn. KIKAS, I think, completely unaware that he is down here. Winter's Bite lands, but the follow-up's going to be, yeah, too far reaching. Splinter, he's coming back. He's in the lane now. He's still looking for this.
As there we go, another Winter's Bite down, but no possible follow-through. As Scotch actually taking a big trade in this top lane. And there we go, Match Splitter finally in, forces the flash out of Swerves. So he gets something for his trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the second game in a row where we see Splinter devote a lot of time to his very first gank. I mean, it paid off both times. I mean, per se, he gets the flashes, both game 1 and game 2 here, but I guess he kind of wonders. It doesn't seem like a thing for Splinter to wait around that long. Very, efficient jungler. Have to use your time very efficiently while you jungle.
Hey man, this is the new Splinter. The play for his team Splinter, the setup is teammate Splinter, to get the Activia Splinter. As that's once again 2 flashes down by 420 for the Master. And starting to look like, sorry, make that 3 flashes down, because Scotch is still down in the top lane. And suddenly, this Evelyn's kind of looking like she's got the game she's wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all over the map, because now we see Splinter passing up to this top side, taking out Scuttle on his way there. But Sword and Mace with the lane push in. Not gonna be too much. Maybe never mind. Splinter's back in the river. He'll circle his way back in here somehow. And yeah, they're definitely gonna look for a gank here. Sword and Mace has to sort of bait Scotchnaut into this. Oh, a little misfire there.
I think at this point it's in Splinter's best interest just to help Sword push that way of the tower. Although that's not a very Splinter thing to do, and he's not going to do it. But yeah, I didn't really see that gank turning into anything with how the creep was positioned. They were just kind of hoping Scotch would make a misplay there, and he didn't. So. Scotch playing with the proper respect. Good on him.
And we actually see Splinter back into this mid lane. Flashless and eggless Thrifty Senpai lays down the wall, and the Vel'Koz Q is just going to barely miss there. And Bora Bora is there for some defense, but he's going to get chunked out on his way out as well.
Yeah, so looking at the spot lane, CS going to be dead even here at 6 minutes. Not what I would have expected out of this matchup.
Yeah, no, certainly not. And I think they might have messed up their very early wave management, because they got it pushing early on, which I don't think is something they wanted to do. Just purely based on the duo lane matchup, but also because there's an Evelyn on the map, and that's how Zwerps got his flash down so early. But I suppose it was it was still pretty far back. Splinter using those lane bushes to get that gank off, but really ideally for this bot lane for KIKAS, they have to try to move the wave back and start zoning Rev and Toad and Bernie Sanders off the wave. So it looks like it's only a 400 gold lead for TSA at 7 minutes. It's negligible, folks, but don't have a lot to talk about here. It's purely this gold lead is just off CS script. Never mind. It's pretty much dead even again. There's nothing to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
Where is this kill gonna happen? I had my hopes up. There were flashes down in all 3 lanes, and now Master Splinter has kind of de-escalated things. He's showing up in this mid lane here, looking for Thrifty, but Thrifty was not there. But now he's gonna see Thrifty as the knockup onto Thrifty. He does not have the egg, and a first blood going over to Master Splinter.
Wow, so the persistence pays off for Splinter. Flash still down for Thrifty Senpai from the first gank, and they get him rotating back to his mid lane. Unaware there, and yeah, they take the blue buff away from him. That goes on to Splinter. Now they give the blue buff of their own to Renai Circulation. So it's just a big win for the duo mid matchup for TSA.
Yeah, and it really just this whole first 8 minutes felt like it was just a matter of time before one of these ganks was enough, and that was the one. And it comes at a really good time immediately after Thrifty had taken the blue buff, so he's going to be in a really rough place in this mid lane going up against Renai now, as the Mighty Wolf is maybe in a lot of danger here as the exhaust comes down. He nets right into the Evelyn, blows the flash, but the stun coming down from the Braum, who is jumping in. He has got no health, ticking away, and Master Splinter picking up his 2nd kill of the game. Now Bora Bora coming in, wanted to counter gank, but not going to take it.
Yeah, just a little bit too late there for Bora Bora. But he doesn't even have level 6. He's only level 5 to the level 7 of Master Splinter. And they devoted a lot to that gank on the Wolf, but they get the kill and both summoners out of him. Also a flash out of Swerves for the cherry on top. So just wins across the board for TSA early on. And winning this bottom lane matchup is actually really big again. I mean, the Mighty Wolf, you know, is supposed to be the source of stability and consistency for KIKAS tonight, but so far not the greatest showings in the very early game. Scotchnaut, Sword Mace up top, he eats him, spits him out. Sword Mace with the Cataclysm on the way out, and Tongue barely misses, and both top laners walk away with their lives.
Sword Mace missed the Q as he was getting shat out there, so close to a kill. As this is really Sword Mace's window, as he's not going to have too much longer before Tom Kench kind of arrives in the frog zone.
Yep, oh, Master Splinter again in the bottom lane, now in lane as well. Waiting for his bot lane to push it out. No summoners for Mighty Wolf here, so most likely going to be the target.
Yeah, they're starting to play with a little more respect of an Evelyn being on the map. Wolf playing so far off these creeps while the summoners are down, just farming with the Piltover Peacemaker. I've been there, man. It feels bad.
Oh yeah, I think we all have, and yeah, they're really respecting it. They're not walking anywhere close to this wave, and Splinter just kind of dwiddling his thumbs again, waiting for the perfect gank opportunity. But I don't know if it's gonna come, and I guess we'll see if the patience pays off. And there it is. The Winter Bite goes wide, but the Glacial Fish is gonna land, and the damage is gonna come through. His Zyral's not gonna be enough to shake them off, and Wait, a shutdown actually back on the Master Splinter from the
Yes,
Mighty
I
Wolf.
thought Scott was teleporting in.
Oh, and the plans pick up the double kill. Scotch teleports in behind Bernie Sanders' bot. Heal is down. Same with Flash, and he's gonna be caught out. But he turns around and lays down the ultimate on Wolf and picks up that kill in return. So a 3 for 2 in favor of KIKAS. Or
super sick out of the Mighty Wolf during that fight. And Thrifty Senpai gonna be Agnivia'd. It's what could be a bad time here. Blab laying down a little extra pressure onto the egg. But Dragon gonna be secured with no contest by KIKAS. But the micro play out of the Mighty Wolf during that fight to lay down as much damage as he could while he was kiting was so impressive. And he picks up 2 kills in a legit 1v3 scenario.
yeah.
And it was all because of his awesome setup. That was the Mighty Wolf at his best in that fight.
Yeah. They definitely needed to try to turn the tides on the bottom side of the map. But at the end of the day, Master Splinter, he picks up another kill. 3-1-0 on this Evelyn. He is looking for more blood, I assume. 4,200
I
gold
don't know.
in his pocket.
Maybe he's gonna just go do some farming.
Looking for some gold.
Like, I've had enough to eat, guys. I'm gonna go take a nap. But I know, in spite of that play being salvaged there by KIKAS, they are still not in a great place in this bot lane. Bernie Sanders' bot sitting on the Duskblade of Drakthar. That's a little more meaningful than the BF Sword Zeal, as Caitlyn's power spike has really come to an end here. As I don't really know what Bora Bora is setting up for us. This is going to be a very long play as they have scouted into this bot lane, but there is a ward in this next rush. But the snare gonna land, but that's a Braum. You can't just walk up to Braum.
Yeah, it looked like they were setting up for the counter gank. They were just assuming Splinter would come down there once again onto the open in seemingly alone to Mighty Wolf, but they wait that one out, try to gank their own, and gonna be failure. Once again, Renai Circulation, pretty impeccable CS as far as SBL quality goes. 121, and at pretty much 14 minutes here. Keeps him in the game. He's not the most active of roaming mid laners, but turns around right onto Thrifty Senpai and takes him out. Bora Bora not there to body block all of the damage. Now he has to run away. Double buffs for this Evelyn. The red buff is procced, and they're laying down the Vel'Koz Q's from far away, and they're looking for the dive, and yeah, Splinter's just gonna pick that one up.
Just the more I watch these skirmishes, the more I wonder why the hell Blaboor was given this champ 2 games in a row.
It's that seemingly cocky drafting from KIKAS that I have also questioned in previous series, but it netted them a quarterfinals and semifinals win. But TSA kind of punishing that drafting strategy.
Yeah, this is now a 4K gold lead, mid lane tier 1 down. They're only down the dragon, but they've got gold in the right places. This is not looking good. Although a big double root coming out. Bernie Sanders bot 1 auto away from death as Swerve's going to pick up the kill there, and they don't want to stop at 1, but I think they will have to. No, the ace in the hole comes out. Reventone barely makes it out alive.
Yeah, and almost a really clean turnaround there for Bernie Sanders' bot, laying down that ultimate. Swerves almost goes down, has to expend the heal out of Mighty Wolf to keep him alive, and Scotchnaut does this eating maneuver once again, spits him out behind the wave, and now he has to walk backstage 1 heal from behind with Bora Bora to help his team out, secure another kill. 2 kills for Scotch in this top lane.
Yeah, watching Sword kind of miss the Q there that would have disengaged out and saved his life was not pretty, as Sword as I'm a bit out of the meta, but I don't think Blade of the Ruined King is a good driving item.
Yeah, questionable as well. Okay, so the push in from KIKAS on top lane, gonna call that one off. Master Splinter is there to I guess not meet the wave. Just gonna go back to some jungling, but it's a 2.5k gold lead for TSA here, a little over 16 minutes. Root goes on to Revento, then he gets snared up. Wolf laying down those headshots from afar, and yeah, they have to walk back out.
It is very rare to see a Brahm's health drop like that.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, can we just look at this
Bernie
forward long? Okay.
What?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that's a slitter.
Game's gonna have to flash, but here comes Demacia and a kill for Sword and Mace. As Wolf is working to be in a bad place, a huge misfortune all coming up. As Bora Bora is setting up for the tower dive, letting Revan and Bernie know they are in dangerous territory as the Bird has shown up too. But they have let the TSA bot lane out of this one. It's looking like going for a flash wall, going for a big play, gets the stun onto the Braum, gets the kill through the heal. And this should be a match turret for the kick-ass bot lane. But they're taking a lot of damage in the mid lane and giving up the Rift Herald for it.
Yeah, and well, I don't think I even don't recall the tier 1 for kick-ass going down in mid lane, but it went down and there was pressure being put onto that tier 2. Scotch uses that ultimate to try to catch Renai Circulation out in a bad spot, but it's going to be a little too late. Rift Herald going over to Master Splinter. A second game in a row for them, and this prompts Kick-Ass to take the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, Kick-Ass really fortunate that it's an Infernal Drake waiting there for them, as this game is really accelerated very quickly.
Yes. To say the least, and it's actually going to be 2 Drakes in the pocket of Kick-Ass early on. So some good late game assurances there in the Infernal. Potentially in the Ocean Drake as well if they get into some kind of sieging mode, which this lineup actually is very good at, now that I realize that kind of win condition here. A lot of zone control.
Like we were saying earlier, this is very nice that they got the Infernal, and Kick-Ass, they've cut at the gold lead a bit, and they do have a better late game if they get there. So they're definitely not out of the water yet.
Yep, and a 4-man push into bot lane from TSA. For nice circulation though, he's all the way back in base stage. Wani lands on Distorted Mace, slows a couple others, and the Rift Herald comes out, and he's just gonna be fighting and he's gonna go for the tower during this team fight. Rift Herald doesn't give a fuck, and Cataclysm comes through. Double kill for Sword and Mace. Mighty Wolf's already out of this fight, and TSA, they're gonna keep going, diving beyond the tower, and it finally goes down. Bernie Sanders might lose his life here. The exhaust comes on the Scotch to dissuade him. Rift Herald's still alive. And Sword Mace, he sees the re-engage. He goes back into Thrifty. Master Splinter picks up the kill. And down goes Scotch, and not a full team ace for Kikas.
Ace for nothing. A total backbreaker for Kick-Ass, as they are going to lose 2 turrets and 5 lives there. So well played on the re-engage from TSA. Particular Sword and Mace with a gigantic fight there. A double kill to start that re-engage.
Wow, yeah, and Sword Mace, his stat line looks so much better than it has in this game early on in last game. And TSA, yeah, now they are fully in control. What was a 3k gold lead a couple minutes ago is now a 7k gold lead. And a little over 20 minutes into the game. Rift Herald really did some work there. I guess the strategy is just team fight around Rift Herald, and no one can focus Rift Herald, and he just does his thing. Oh, forcing the flash out of Swerves with that Vel'Kal's ult. What is the cooldown on this? This is 70 seconds, 73 seconds. So
yeah, that's doable.
Yeah,
you'll take that for a flash on a Zyra who's prone to being caught at later times.
Yeah, and pretty much whenever he throws that out, you're either gonna die or you're flashing. So I mean, Renai circulated 1-0 and 2. I don't know if he actually had any deaths last game. I think he probably did, but he's always been known as a player to be very death prone, or not prone to dying. keeps the deaths low in a stat line. But
Wait, who?
Blab.
Oh, Vlad. Sorry, I thought you were talking about somebody else
Yep.
for a second.
Nope. Yeah.
You know, it's hard, guys. You got to focus on the game and your co-commentator. I don't know how anyone does this professionally.
Yeah, dude. It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 36 people in the SBL, and only 2 of them can do it. You and me. So.
Rip everyone's else's dreams of being a caster.
Everyone else is trash.
Oh, God.
My caster name is gonna be Double Lift.
Nice. Mine will be something else in double lift.
You could be Double Lift. Hi, I'm Double Lift, and I'm here with Double Lift. Monty and Doa did 2 Shens once, so.
Yeah, what the fuck, indeed.
And speaking of what the fuck, indeed,
yeah.
a 22-minute Baron started by TSA, who there is no vision. And this Baron is going down fast, but not that fast, but it doesn't matter. KIKAS has just now thought to start checking, and it is way too late.
Yeah.
That is an 8,000 gold lead, and Baron buff, 4th thing twice as scrappy affiliates.
Honestly, for 22 minutes, that Baron was, I thought, pretty fast and safe. Not many people going down too low from that, but really it was just the impeccable vision control that set them up. They had this nice line of wards there on the blue side for KIKAS, and no one from KIKAS had any idea what was going on.
Yeah, that was exactly what... If you're a shot caller that goes for that 22-minute Baron play a lot, that is exactly the type of play you're doing it for. Most of the time, you're going to get nothing, and you're going to back off, and that's fine. But, you know, if it's that 1 in 5 or even 1 in 10 chance where the enemy team just doesn't react properly, and you get a Baron at 22 minutes, that's a game-winning play a lot of the time. And with this lead, it should be for TSA.
Yep, they now have a split push going. Sword and Mace with that teleport up, 3-1 and 3. Feeling pretty good about his bank, 9.5 in his pocket. With the Blade of the Ruined King, which I guess would help his split pushing potential. Still an odd Jarvan item overall, but I guess we'll see who will match him down here. Looks like it's gonna be the Mighty Wolf.
Ooh, yeah, Wolf gonna have to be careful down there. Thor puts on a lot of damage, even with where he's at in his build. You know, no armor or not much armor, and a Blade of the Ruined King. Still gonna have a pretty easy time, and it's looking like Wolf actually not going on to Sword Mace, who has the inside track onto this turret with the Baron wave.
Yeah, he had to pick up the red buff real quick, guys, and then he's there. Defending that inhibitor tower, so actually looked like a 3-1-1 setup. Splinter was in the mid lane pushing that in, but now he's doubled back to Infernal.
Yeah, maybe that was the plan for TSA, was to wait for the Infernal before they make a big play. Before Bora going in, they're getting a lot of damage on Revito, but he's a Braum. That's a hard man to pick off as they are engaging into the Wamba of the MF and the Vel'Koz, shredding apart KIKAS. Picking up 2 kills and an Infernal Dragon just for fun to go with it. As now Sword and Mace has showed up with the teleport, looking for a big Cataclysm as both the carries are available. Flashing forward onto the Mighty Wolf, gets the knock-up, gets the kill. Thrifty Senpai not going to be long for this world either, as he is egged under his own turret. Reventoad trying to block some damage, but I don't think that's how that works. But it doesn't matter. There is another ace as the base being destroyed here.
Yeah, and
2 inhibitors down. This might be the 3 inhibitor play, as Blab rotated over to that mid lane turret.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're basically securing. Oh, actually, there's going to be a surrender coming in from KIKAS.
Wow.
So, not wanting to continue this game on. Going to try to mentally reset there after a brutal defeat at the hands of TSA. Wow, and TSA really coming out even stronger here in Game 2.
Yeah, I got a hunch that Evelyn will not be on Game 3 Summoner's Rift.
I guess we'll have to see. Stay tuned, folks, and we'll get right back into this best of 5 series. Stay tuned.